Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's Mark here, back with you. I want to talk about chord progressions today. Should be a short and sweet one to give you some indication as far as which chord progressions or these chord sequences that are the most important and most relevant to tackle as a jazz guitarist. Welcome to Jazz Guitar Lessons, where we help guitarists learn jazz faster, express themselves more fluently, and have fun along the way. My name is Mark, and if you're looking to learn jazz, form better practice habits, and especially if you enjoy a French accent, make sure to subscribe. Okay, so first off, we will do things today in the key of C because it's easier to remember the keys and the progressions and to be able to relativize. So please build mental images in that mental mind's eye, the scope of this. We will look at a 4-bar progression, an 8-bar progression, and a 12-bar progression. And the key of C has, of course, the chord C major, but also it has all of the other chords that we will spell with degrees. I will say them as numbers, so saying 1 is C major, or C major 7, C major 9, or C, it's C major, right? And they're typically written as Roman numbers, so the capital I would be the 1, and then the 2, which would be Roman small caps, 2 would be D minor 7, and etc. So there's 7 chords, namely C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, the A minor 7 is the relative minor, B minor 7 flat 5 on the 7th degree, and back to C. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is a consequence of what we would call harmonizing the C major scale, meaning that if we take C and we put thirds on top of it, we go C, E, G, B, and it's like, oh, this is a C major 7 structure. So these chords that I just labeled are occurring as a natural consequence of using only these 7 pitches, these 7 notes from the key. We could have built this in a different key, like A flat major, and relativize everything. We would still get the same structure, and this stems from the structure of half steps and whole steps. Notice there's 12 notes on the guitar or any instrument, and we use 7 to build that scale. Now, that said, that's a quick introduction. Chords move in sequences. There are a lot of typical sequences. You have heard of the cycle of fourths or cycle of fifths, and here I want to tackle the most important, most used, or the highest bang for your buck. If you tackle these progressions, they have lots of ramifications and they're easy to understand and to implement. First one will begin with 8-bar progression, which is a 1, 6, 2, 5. I'll say this again, write it on a piece of paper in Roman, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. So 1 is C major, we do it for 2 bars. Then we go to the 6, which is A minor, or A minor 7, and it lasts 2 bars also. Then we have the 2, so D minor 7 for 2 bars, and G7, so the 5, the Roman V, in 2 bars, so that's 1, 6, 2, 5, 2 bars each. Still with me? Perfect. So 2 bars C major, 2 bars A minor, 2 bars D minor, 2 bars G7, and you're done, you wrap up. That's the length of what I call the conveyor belt for that progression. It is super important in that many songs have this progression or part of this progression within their chord sequences, right? Typically songs have, melody and lyrics and etc. We sing those, but also on top of it, you'll have the chord symbols like, oh, that's how we accompany the melody, and chords come in predictable sequences. So that's our top number 1 progression. Top 3, that's number 1 for sure, 1, 6, 2, 5. Notice how all of these chords stem from the key of C major. So the word for this would be diatonic, meaning all of the chords are found in that scale. There's no external chords. Good. Let's look at the second progression. So I call this the 2, 5, 1, 6. 1 bar each. You'll notice they're the same chords. So instead of 1, 6, 2, 5, now we do 2, 5, 1, 6. We start on the 2, so D minor 7, 1 bar. G7, 1 bar. C7, 1 bar. C major 7, 1 bar. That's the 1. And the last one is the 6, but for this round, and you can find this on the Jazz Guitar Fellowship, free link in description, that second progression has an A7. So it sounds a bit more like a jazz turnaround at this point. So D minor 7, G7, C major 7, A7, and you wrap up. That's progression number 2. It's a 4-bar sequence, right? So we have an 8-bar sequence, we have a 4-bar sequence as number 2. And then the next one's going to be a 12-bar sequence. Not so surprisingly, progression number 3 is a 12-bar blues because it's extremely foundational to everything jazz and pop and rock, and it's just, blues, good old 12-bar blues. Before we get to the 12-bar blues, I want to take a moment on that 6th chord from progression number 2. So if you write those on a piece of paper, you have your 8-bar progression, 1, 6, 2, and 5, and you look at the 6, you go, oh, it's A minor. If you look at the second progression, you go 2, 5, 1, 6 as an A7, or even if you wanted, A7 flat 9, A7 altered, A7 flat 13. This is the introduction to altered dominants, and the role of A7 here is of a secondary dominant. So you will find this as a turnaround in rhythm changes and standards of all sorts, like ballads and waltzes and whatever, 1-6-2-5. 2-5-1-6. See, I'm mixing myself up again, but they're the same Roman numbers. So the 6th chord, A7, is acting as a secondary dominant to D minor, meaning that if we were playing a song in the key of D, that 5 chord, that V, Roman V chord, is that A7. So we use A7 instead of A minor, so we have some tension to resolve. So we go D minor 7, G7, all right, so we have a 2 and a 5, and we have our 1, and then the 6 is actually 5 of D minor, or in other words, you say 5 of 2. 5/2 is how it would be notated in classical music. This is the first the first iteration of looking at a secondary dominant, the most common one. The dominant is the G7, it's the true 5, it's going G7, C major. But the secondary dominant, the first one to address, is like, well, if I want to go to 2, which is D minor, how do I get there? Well, I get there via its own dominant, and that is A7. So A7 is not diatonic to the key of C major, but it still works. Briefly in passing, progression number 3, the blues progression, the 12-bar blues, but in the jazz style. So it's 12 bars. I'm not going to go too much in detail because I realized I wanted to make a short podcast, and now it's turning into a medium podcast. Basically, you have a bar of C7, a bar of F, and 2 bars of C7. That's the first 4 bars. And then you go bar 6, 7, 8, and 9. 5, 6, 7, and 8. You go to F7. Sometimes you have another passing chord, like an F sharp diminished 7, back to C. And then in bar 8, you have an A7 again. And at the end, you have a 2, 5, 1, and then 1, 6, 2, 5 again. So it's like you get elements of progression 1 and 2 within your blues form. So go examine how people play Tenor Madness or Billy's Bounce or, Blues by 5. People play blues, but in a jazz sense, which has just a bit of heavier turnarounds, if you will. So that's a great start to exploring all of this. Of course, now you have 3 main progressions. The tunes we will learn sometimes will have 16-bar forms, 32-bar forms, or even longer sometimes. But these that we've just discussed, the top 3 progressions, are like our Lego blocks or building blocks for all of harmonies and lots of interesting progressions. On that note, I will see you in the next podcast. Take care. Bye.